You're watching DX Recaps, the place where we break down movies fast, clear, and spoiler-packed. Whether you missed it, forgot it, or just want a quick refresh, we've got you covered. Let's get into the story. The desert stretches endless and silent, a scorched wasteland of dust and heat. A lone figure stands against the horizon. This is Max, a haunted drifter with nothing left but survival. His voice echoes inside his mind, memories of those he failed. The loved ones he couldn't save. He says little, but his silence carries the weight of loss. His car, his last connection to the world before, sits nearby. But peace never lasts. From the rocks, a gang of war-painted scavengers attack. Engines roar, nets fly, and in seconds Max is overwhelmed. He is dragged from his vehicle chained, and carried to the fortress known as the Citadel. The Citadel rises like a nightmare from the sand carved into cliffs, ruled by the tyrant immortal Joe. His warboys chant his name like a god. They are pale, sickly, and fanatical, worshipping him as a bringer of life. For them, to die in his service is glory. Max is branded a bloodbag, his body useful only as a supply for their weak veins. He is chained, his hair shorn, his humanity stripped. Still, in his eyes, the fire of survival refuses to die. Meanwhile, immortal Joe prepares his fleet for a supply run. He commands Furiosa, one of his most trusted war captains, to drive the massive war rig across the desert. The mission is to collect fuel and ammunition from nearby strongholds. Joe trusts her loyalty. His warboys, too, see her as a devoted servant. But behind her calm eyes lies a different truth. Furiosa has her own plan. As the war rig roars out of the Citadel, flanked by spiked cars and painted warriors, she silently steers off the expected path. She is not fetching supplies, she is stealing something far more precious. Hidden in the rig are Joe's wives, young women kept as his breeders. They are terrified, but determined. This is their only chance at freedom. Back in the Citadel, Joe discovers the betrayal. His chamber is empty. His rage explodes. He dons his grotesque breathing mask, his armor of muscle and skulls, and mounts his monstrous vehicle. He unleashes his army in pursuit, a storm of engines, spikes, and weapons tearing across the sand. Among his fanatics is Nux, a frail but fierce warboy. His body is weak, riddled with disease, but his devotion to Joe is absolute. Strapped to the front of his car is Max, still chained, turned into a living talisman of blood and survival. Nux drives with wild fury, screaming promises of sacrifice, eager to prove himself in Joe's eyes. The desert becomes a war zone. The war rig plows forward, while Joe's convoy crashes down from the cliffs. Drums beat, engines roar, weapons ignite. Warboys hurl themselves into combat with reckless abandon. Explosions light the sky as metal collides, tires shred, and bodies fly. Furiosa drives with steady precision, her eyes locked on the horizon. Max, trapped on the front of Nux's car, watches the chaos unfold. His every instinct screams for escape. Bullets slam into steel, spears explode on impact, and sand clouds swallow the battlefield. A furious chase tears across the wasteland. Furiosa slams through attackers, flipping cars and crushing enemies beneath the rig's wheels. Still, Joe's forces close in. From above, other scavenger gangs smell blood and join the fight. The desert becomes a storm of smoke, fire, and screaming engines. Furiosa makes a desperate gamble. She turns into a violent sandstorm, an ocean of dust, lightning, and wind that swallows the land. The sky darkens, the ground trembles. Joe's army plunges in after her, their devotion outweighing fear. Inside the storm, chaos reigns. Lightning splits the sky, sand whips like knives, and vehicles are hurled into the air like toys. Nux pushes his car harder, screaming for a glorious death. He ignites explosives, determined to end his life in service to Joe. But the storm consumes him. The explosion backfires. His car flips violently, and Max is thrown into unconsciousness. Hours later, silence falls. The storm has passed. Max wakes buried in sand, chained still to Nux. Around them lies wreckage, burnt-out cars, scattered bodies, shattered steel. Max fights to free himself, kicking, dragging, clawing at the chains that bind him. He drags Nux's unconscious body through the sand. Desperate for freedom, not far away, the war rig has survived. Furiosa emerges, leading the wives into the open air. They wash themselves with water, cutting away the chains that once bound them. Their bodies bear scars of captivity, but their spirits burn with hope. They are finally free, or so they believe. But Max finds them. Desperate, filthy, and dangerous, he stumbles into their sanctuary. His shotgun shakes in his hands, his eyes wild with hunger and fear. He doesn't see allies, he sees threats and a machine he can use to escape. He tries to take the war rig, forcing Furiosa and the wives back. Yet survival is never simple. The rig is designed with safeguards. It refuses to move without Furiosa's code. Max struggles, but he cannot start it. Furiosa seizes the moment, attacking him in a brutal fight. The wives join in, their desperation fueling every strike. Chains rattle, sand flies, and the struggle rages. In the end, Max gains the upper hand. But not victory. He realizes he needs Furiosa if he is to survive. Their eyes lock. Distrust on both sides, but also recognition. Two survivors, forced into an uneasy alliance. They climb into the rig together. The wives plead with Furiosa to trust him, while Max stays silent, his every move careful. Behind them, the horizon shakes once more. Joe is still coming. His army grows closer with every passing second. Furiosa finally reveals her true destination. She is leading them to the green place, a land of life, water, and hope. For her, it is a return home. For the wives, it is salvation. For Max, it is only survival. The rig roars forward again, cutting across the wasteland. Ahead lies promise. Behind, death. And somewhere between them, a fragile alliance begins to form. The war rig thunders deeper into the wasteland. Inside, tension holds heavy. Furiosa drives with unshakable focus. The wives cling to the hope of freedom, and Max sits silent, still distrusting, but no longer trying to take control. The alliance is fragile, built on necessity, not trust. Behind them, dust rises. Immortan Joe's fleet is closing again. His monstrous car charges at the head of the convoy, his mask hissing, his eyes blazing with fury. He has lost face, lost control, and he will not rest until his wives are returned. The rig enters a canyon. Here, a gang of bikers waits, armed and suspicious. They block the path, demanding Furiosa's tribute. She bargains, offering them Immortan Joe's army instead. The bikers hesitate, then let her through, but the truce is fragile. Moments later, Joe's fleet arrives. The bikers unleash their trap. Explosives light up the canyon walls. Rocks tumble, and the chase erupts once more. Furiosa pushes the rig forward, smashing through, while Max and the wives fight off attackers. Nux, still chained, staggers inside the rig, his faith in Joe shaken after repeated failure. The battle spills out of the canyon into open desert. Explosions thunder behind them. Wreckage burns in the sand, but Joe's pursuit never falters. His forces swarm like insects, hurling spears, firing weapons, risking everything to reclaim what he calls his. Amid the chaos, tragedy strikes. Splendid, the favorite of Joe's wives, leans from the rig, trying to shield the others. A sudden jolt sends her tumbling. She falls beneath the wheels of Joe's monstrous car, her body crushed in the sand. The wives scream in horror. Joe roars in fury, not grief. His prized possession is ruined. He drives harder, rage boiling inside him. Furiosa's face hardens, but pain glints in her eyes. Splendid was more than a wife. She was hope, courage, and a mother-to-be. Her loss cuts deep, yet the journey cannot stop. The war rig presses on. For the first time, Max begins to fight as more than a lone survivor. He mounts weapons, shoots down attackers, and shields the wives with his body. Slowly, trust begins to take root. Inside, Nux collapses. He whispers his shame, certain Joe will never accept him again. But instead of scorn, the wives offer kindness. They touch his scarred skin gently, telling him he is more than a tool, more than Joe's soldier. For the first time in his life, Nux sees compassion. A seed of change sparks inside him. Hours pass. The desert opens wide, empty and endless. The rig rattles, strained from the relentless chase. Supplies run low. Furiosa's eyes search the horizon for the place she remembers, the green place. At last, a group of women appears in the distance, figures shrouded in cloaks. Furiosa stops the rig, hope burning in her chest. She steps down, trembling, and reveals her identity. These are the Vuvalini, the clan she was stolen from as a child. They recognize her, but their joy is broken by sorrow. The green place is gone. Poisoned by salt and death, the land has turned to wasteland like all the rest. Furiosa collapses to her knees, grief overwhelming her. She had clung to this hope for years, and now it is nothing but sand. Max watches her silently. He knows this despair, the crushing weight of losing everything. Yet in her collapse, he sees something he cannot ignore. The wives looking at her. Still desperate for safety, still needing someone to lead. Furiosa cannot give up. The Vuvolini offer an escape. Together, they can ride across the endless salt flats, chasing some distant chance at life. Furiosa agrees. They prepare to abandon the war rig, pack supplies, and set off into the void. But Max stops them. For the first time, he speaks with purpose. He tells them that running into the unknown will only lead to death. Instead, the only chance lies behind them. The Citadel, the fortress Joe left unguarded in his pursuit. If they can take it, the water, the crops, and the stronghold will be theirs. Furiosa stares at him, her face torn between disbelief and resolve. Max is right. The path forward is not escape, it is war. At dawn, they turn the rig around. The women mount their bikes, Max climbs aboard, and Furiosa steals herself. The war rig charges back into the wasteland, toward Immortan Joe and his army. The desert explodes in chaos. Joe's forces see the war rig returning and rush to meet it. Engines roar, spikes clash, and the sand trembles beneath the fury of steel. The wives arm themselves, the Vuvolini unleash decades of warrior skill. And Max fights with brutal efficiency. Vehicles collide in showers of sparks. Harpoons hook into the rig, warriors swing on poles, leaping from car to car in a storm of violence. Bullets rip through metal, grenades detonate, and the air fills with smoke and screams. Amid the chaos, Furiosa targets Joe himself. She drives straight at his monstrous vehicle, trading blows in a storm of fire. Max battles war boys, blood spraying, chains snapping, engines screaming. The rig takes damage. Tires shred, engines burn, pieces of armor tear away. Furiosa is wounded, a blade piercing her side. She fights through the pain, her will stronger than steel. Then comes the final confrontation. Furiosa leaps onto Joe's vehicle. Chains whip, metal crashes, and with brutal precision, she hooks his grotesque mask to the wheels. Joe's face rips away, his body torn in agony. Immortan Joe is dead, the wives and Vuvolini cheer. But the battle rages on. The rig is failing, fire consuming it. Max fights his way back, dragging Furiosa aboard. Her wound is deep, blood pouring from her side. She collapses, barely clinging to life. In the chaos, Nux redeems himself. He takes the wheel of the rig, guiding it into a narrow canyon. Warboys swarm. Joe's lieutenants close in, but Nux smiles for the first time. He locks eyes with Capable, one of the wives, then sacrifices himself. He flips the rig, crushing the pursuing army in fire and wreckage. His death buys them freedom. Max and the survivors escape the wreckage. He kneels over Furiosa, pressing his hands to her wound. With a rare act of trust, he offers her his name, Max. It grounds her, gives her strength. She breathes again. Together, they return to the Citadel. The fortress that once belonged to Joe is now vulnerable. The warboys see Joe's corpse, their false god destroyed. The people, starving and desperate, look to Furiosa. She rises, battered but alive, a leader born in blood and fire. Water pours from the fortress walls, spilling into the crowd below. The people cheer, hands raised in awe and gratitude. Furiosa has freed them. The wives are no longer prisoners. The Vuvolini stand strong again. Max does not stay. He slips quietly into the crowd, his face lost among the nameless survivors. For him, there is no home, no throne, no celebration. There is only the road, the endless desert, and the will to keep moving. The war has ended, but the fury of survival burns on. And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Recaps. See you in the next one.